Hello and welcome to the studio in downtown Maryville. I'm at Preservation Plaza. If you ever want to come by and visit at the gallery, but what we're doing today, got a couple of 5x7s taped down to this board. But what we're going to do today is kind of an unboxing. I'm reboxing it so we can pretend that we're unboxing it. Been trying to actually do this video. This will be the third attempt, so hopefully we can get through this thing without a whole lot of trouble. But this is Viviva Colorsheets, and I found this at Neighborly Books, which is on the other street, Broadway. And actually, it's on Broadway. I'm on Broadway, but I'm on the backside. Anyways, I was there picking up a book, and I saw this near the register and was immediately drawn to it because it's watercolor in a booklet. And I was super excited. 16 colors. And immediately I thought this would be a super cool series of paintings and videos for beginners, because that's effectively what this is. You get 16 colors, and if I were to buy 16 small tubes of the paint that I generally use, which is primarily Daniel Smith, and if I can't get it in Daniel Smith, I'll get Winsor Newton. Actually, the Payne's Gray that I use is exclusively Winsor Newton. No other Payne's Gray has the color that it has, but Hydrograss. And I get these at Jerry's Autorama. But these are at least $10 a piece. So this would be, to get this many colors in the paints that I use, it would be $160. So here you're getting 16 colors, and I'll show you what it looks like. And I'm going to use this for traveling. It's not going to be my travel palette because I'm a professional artist. But this is something that I can just throw in my bag or my backpack. And if I see something and I want to knock out a quick watercolor sketch, or I'm waiting, for somebody or whatever, I can just pop this thing out with a cheap brush and make it happen. So the sheets are lined up like color swatches with, I guess, wax paper in between them. Now you can tell that I've painted with these. And look, make swatch here. I just noticed that. That's cool. Let's do that real quick. But I opened it earlier and made this bookmark for a friend with some scrap paper cut down from the studio. So before we do crimson, let's do deep pink, because this says deep pink, but it looks brown. It's a little too wet. I want to get there we go. So it gets pretty dark. Then if you water your brush down and stretch it out a little bit, you can see how it lightens. And then one more time. So here you can see 3 values: dark, medium, and light with the deep pink. But it looks brown. Clearly, it's not brown. So I have used it, and these sheets do a good job of keeping this pigment from traveling whenever you close the book, or even when you switch pages during a painting. Whoever came up with this, it's such a brilliant little palette, and just, again, perfect for beginners. Vermilion. Now, what's funny about this is Vermilion Law, which is Lee Cowden, who's an estate attorney here in Maryville, and she handles like a lot of my licensing. This is her building, but it's Vermilion Law. Vermilion, it's a shade of red. Let's see what it looks like. So we'll go pretty thick. Add a little bit of water so we can get our medium value. Then clean the brush out and get our lattice value. So here you, when you get it, this is what you want to do. When you first get it, you want to fill out these little swatches so that you can reference it whenever you go back to your painting. I have already, what yellow ochre is yellow ochre. It's the same no matter what you're doing. Burnt sienna, burnt umber, these are classic colors. But if you're not familiar with them, then by all means, and I'm going to do this with the rest of them too, make these little dark, medium, light value color swatches so that you can immediately reference and know what colors you want this to be. This painting is the primitive Baptist church in Cades Cove here in the Smoky Mountains. I've drawn it with waterproof ink on Arches 300-pound watercolor paper. Hopefully, this waterproof ink is dry. This is my third attempt at this painting. Anyways, but hopefully this waterproof ink's dry. But we're going to do a sample here, and then I'm going to draw another one, not on the video, but I am going to draw another one. And then I'm going to take that up to Neighborly Books. You'll be able to buy that, and then you can reference this video if you want to paint along. We're not going to deep dive into watercolor techniques and fundamentals in this video. That's not what this is. A lot of the colors that we're going to be using are going to be just straight from these swatches as opposed to mixing. We may mix some, but the purpose of this is not, again, to deep dive into watercolor technique. It's to show you that you can make a beautiful little painting with just a few colors and one brush. We're just going to use this one brush. Now, this brush you can get at, it's a Princeton brush. You can get it at Jerry's Artorama, which is where I buy all of my stuff. You can do this painting with one brush. So you can buy this and one brush and some paper and immediately start. I would suggest having a couple of brushes for larger areas, but for the purpose of this, we're just going to use this one. It's a Princeton. It's a number 8. Let's see how this ink's doing. Ink's doing pretty good. It's dry. So the first thing we're going to do is put the sky on there. But before we do that, we're going to wet the paper. We're going to be careful to avoid the structure, but we are going to come down into the trees because when the light shines through the trees, is that light going to be white? No, it's going to be the same color as the sky. So somehow or another, I've got still some red in this brush, but that's okay. It'll blend in. It'll be fine. Now, the color that I'm using for the sky on this particular set is called Peacock Blue. Or is it Persian? I think it's Persian Blue. Yeah. And their Persian Blue, let me get a paper towel. Oh, there we go, paper towel ready. We're going to get some of this water off of the church. What they call Persian Blue to me looks more like ultramarine, but where you go on real thick, it tends to be purple. It looks like maybe it's spread over into the violet, which is fine. So we'll put that on, and then we'll spread it out. And you can see that there's a couple of different values in there. And one of them, where it goes on real thick, is after you pull it off the paper, it looks purple. is purple. So it's a beautiful color because you're getting, it's like you're mixing colors with this one, even though you're not. It's just that pigment. So we've left some of the white of the paper to be clouds. We're going to smooth out some of those edges and then take a real light. That's supposed to be real light. Water, 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 water. Bring it down into the trees. Here. And then I'm going to blot some of that up just to kind of keep it from moving around so we can paint back into that a little sooner. This color dries pretty quick. I don't know why that is, but there we go. There's your sky and clouds. Now we're going to be putting trees back here, so if it looks like that church is glowing, it's because we haven't gotten further into it. I'm going to just boom and just keep that from moving around any longer. Since we didn't get water on the church should be pretty safe to paint. And we're going to have our light source coming this way. So this will be cast in shadow. But we will have a shadow just under the roof. And we're going to use violet. Now, on this swatch, you'll see it looks gold in most of it, but right there in the center where I've activated it, it's actually purple. Now, I will say this purple sets in awfully quick. So, and you want to leave room for this that gutter right here. So you're going to have a shadow just under there. Right? And then let's go ahead and pull that up. And then we're going to cast this entire side right here and leave room for that gutter as well. Well, that's not a gutter, but actually that's going to be in shadow. So we'll go ahead and go all the way through. Now there's a little bit of white showing here and there. Don't be concerned about covering that up. It's not necessary. And we're going to connect this shadow to that. And just dab that so that we can stop it from moving. Again, this does a pretty good job, but if you get it super saturated, there's only so much you can do. The roof to this church is a blue. Hold on a second. While I bring up the reference photo. Okay. It is a very light blue. We obviously don't want to use the blue that we used for the sky because we want to mix that up a little bit. So we're going to come back over here. It's called peacock blue. And we want to go really light on this because this roof is not dark at all. And because we left a space where that gutter is, this blue should not travel into that purple. Now that is incredibly light. So we're going to bring, did I say peacock? Is that what we're doing? Yep. This side's going to be a little darker because of the shadow. I'm going to dry the brush off. Just pull that away on the sunlit side. We're going to leave this white, and then we'll come in and we'll put a little purple shadow under there too. So right now, a lot of blue and purple staining my fingers. It's fine. So while all this dries, we're going to put, here we have heaven. Now we're going to go earth. This is a gravel parking lot. For the purposes of this painting, soil, make it dirt. Yeah, why not? Or all green. We'll say it's a church in a field, and we'll leave a little walkway, maybe. So what green are we going to use? If you do want to mix colors, you can use just a little dish. I have this palette that I use for my classes. Okay. But for this video, it's just going to be a place to mix and test colors. I guess what we could do, make sure that there's nothing on this brush. Okay, mostly nothing on this brush. Okay, let's see what Viridian looks like. Kind of a turquoise. Dry the brush and then finish out the light. So we have dark, medium, light value. And that's what Viridian looks like. It's looks like turquoise. So that's not what we want to use. We're going to use magenta. No, we're not. I just read it. So we'll go light green, and then we'll add in sap green. So you noticed I loaded the brush one time, and then I just spread it out. Get a little bit of that sap green. I don't know if I like how that's mixing, but what else do we have? What other greens? That's it. We could mix light green and a blue. Let's do that. Let's see what happens. Light green and peacock. Wasn't that the ultramarine? I hope so. I don't think that's it. So let's go light green. And if you like those colors, then, crazy. I think, yep. So we're going to go back to the light green, pick that up, some water. And then get our Persian blue. That's what I wanted to see. And then we'll come back over here where our shadows are. We'll make it a little darker. And then get a little more Persian to give a real good shadow right there. Forgot our footpath, but that's okay. We are doing a simple painting, so let's not get crazy. We don't have to go all the way to the bottom. You could just kind of color swatch that. But I did here. Pick some of that up. Again, make sure that you're keeping a clean paper towel so that you don't just push a dark color in there where you don't want it, or any color for that matter. Okay. So now we have the base of the building. We got the shadow side. And then what? Oh, I know what we can do. Let's go to the burnt umber. There we go. Now you want your brush to be kind of dry right here because we want this paint to go on pretty not very watery, pretty solid. Oh, it's not ready. We'll come back to that. Okay. So we're going to do the background trees, and then, or actually, I think we can do the door right now. So for the door, we're going to use what they call slate black. It's honestly more like a deep, really deep blue. It's Payne's gray is what it looks like to me. There's your door. Don't get fancy. And pull just a little bit of that up. Now later, if we want, we can add the slats in there, but I'm not going to. We do want a shadow right here where that tower is. So we'll go. That was not Persian. That was peacock blue. Yeah. So we'll get a little bit of that peacock blue. You can just put the thinnest line right there underneath it. And there's your shadow. We got a tiny chimney right there. It's not necessary if you don't feel like messing with it, but if you do, we're going to go crimson. We could go crimson, but I believe I'm going to go maybe burnt sienna. I'm going to mix a little burnt sienna and a burnt umber just because I can't make up my mind which one I want to use. Yeah, just make sure that's dry. And since that is the shadow side and we made that shadow dark, we're going to go dark right here also. That way we're consistent. You can use a hair dryer if you want, or you can fan this off. I generally wait. See if it's dry. Yep. We're going to go on real thick right here, but don't worry about that line being perfect. Just like that. Get my reference photo up here real quick and see if I'm missing anything. Technically, there are some tombstones back here, but I'm not real worried about that right now. What we can do is get, not Viridian, let's go sap green. And there's our shadows. For the tree limbs, you don't have to put them in there. You can see we have them in there with ink. But if you want to put them in there, my suggestion would be to make it just use the lightest part of this brush, or not the lightest, but the very tip. So you get a nice thin line, and don't try to connect these all the way down. Just something like that to suggest tree trunks. And you'll notice that there's a couple of highlights in there. Just leave those. There we go. When I'm generally painting, I do not use a paper towel to blot everything. I'm just doing it so that we can get through this one, dry it, arrest the movement. Okay. What we have with these two limbs are extreme foreground, which is going to help push this church back into the back. And then these tree trunks are part of the background. So we're going to go lighter and bluer in the background. So like a bluer green, something similar to that, I guess. But we're going to, let's see what yellow ochre, little sheet over here so I can test this. Let's see what yellow ochre looks like when we mix it with sap green. Oh, that's bad. Don't do that. Do not do that. It could make an interesting. No, don't do that. What else do we have? Let's try yellow ochre. That's really gold. And maybe this Persian blue. Hey, there we go. That's a nice green. Okay. So just rough that yellow in right there. Don't worry about filling up all the space. And then come in with Persian blue. And just like that. Don't try to be a perfectionist here. Just blend those colors, leave some of the paper. And then I'm going to take a little Persian blue just to push these shadows a little further back and create another value, darker value, like that. Cool. Break that up just a little. Yeah, a little into the building. It's not really a problem. Okay, we are almost finished. Go back here to this yellow ochre. Pick up where you started with that puddle. And let's pick that up. And remember, we're just spreading this around. We're not trying to fill in all the blanks. These would make a great fall painting. I mean, matter of fact, you know what? I could leave that like that, and we could call it fall. I think yeah. Okay, so since we've changed directions, let's take a little. Oh, come on. What is that? All right, there we go. And then here at the bottom, there we go. Here at the bottom, I'm going to make background trees match what we have back here. So we're going to take light yellow ochre like this, and then go back to our Persian blue. So we have some, in the background, we have some evergreens. And slate black, create our darkest value, but stay clear of your tree trunks. And this will push them forward. Okay, we're almost there. Last thing we need to do is put in the foreground. Oh no, tell me that didn't stop. Man, I hope we didn't lose anything. That would be frustrating. Anyways. So we have a fall tree here. Is this going to be, it's going to have to be a fall tree because it's not an evergreen. So what are we going to do? We are making decisions on the fly, left and right. Wouldn't Wouldn't suggest it, but that's what we've done. Ooh, look at that. That's a nice orange. Here's our darkest. A little bit of water. So we can get our medium out here. And then light. Let's do, and you want this to go on kind of dry so that it does that effect. But then that looks pretty similar to that. So let's get this crimson. That's nice. Push that brush in there like that. Boom. I don't know what we got. It feels like we got a couple of seasons going on here, right? Mm-hmm. Are we missing something? Oh, yeah, we are. Last thing that we're going to do, and we have to be very careful not to overdo this. This tree is casting shadows. So, what is that blue? That is our. Where did you go? Is that our Persian? No, that's our peacock blue. So we'll pick up a little bit of peacock blue with a pretty dry brush. And I cannot stress enough how you are just don't make a giant blob right here. Make sure you leave white or space in between and then pick that up. Because that roof is blue, we're going to go darker blue for that shadow. Again, this is just the very basic watercolors. We're not trying to get crazy. And then for the cast shadow, here, same thing. So make sure these shadows kind of, make sure you can tell that they're together. It's one large tree that's casting this. Then there we go. A little busy? I don't know, maybe. We are missing one thing. The shadow underneath that tower. There we go. Help create dimension right there. the painting that small, you got to be careful not to cover up some of these little details. Well, I don't know how I feel about it, except that I am done. I am sure of that. For this fence, you could sit here and draw these little lines, but your brain knows that they go there, so don't, not necessary to do that. And the last part, which is generally the most satisfying, hard to tell if that's focusing in on that. Well, good or bad, it is finished. So, hope you like that. Um, love these. I'm definitely going to be using these. I might just do a practice painting every day with this little thing because how handy is that? That's so much fun. But you can get this at Neighborly Books, and you can find, I'll have this sample drawing there. And if you want to come in and buy that drawing, refer to this video, paint along. Everything that you need is here and here on YouTube. So thank you guys for joining me, and I might see you tomorrow.